I thought after reading that kind of wall of text, while informative for my own response, I thought a video response would be a little bit faster and more interesting in terms of engagement. And let me preface this by saying that this isn't kind of promoting my own channel because I only do this for fun, like One Punch Man. Um, in my opinion, any career that where image is involved, it seems to be like it's a double-edged sword. On one hand, you want to be celebrated for your choices, and to be respected for your profession and your level of professionalism in that career. But on the other hand, you're opening yourself up for criticism, good and bad, and it's you're still, you have to accept that it is an art form in terms of what you're doing, expressing yourself as an image, regardless of what that is, in any type of field, whether regardless of whether that's cosplay, or if you're in the fashion industry, or if it's music, or painted medium art, or whatever. It's still art, and it's still open for criticism. And art, and it's by its very nature, is fickle because it's subjective. Beauty is in the eye of the beholder. All right, that's how it's always been for hundreds and hundreds of years. Everybody has their own idea of what that's going to be because everyone feels how they feel. Expressing human sexuality as an art form itself isn't new. It's been around for hundreds and hundreds of years. Humanity has appreciated the human form for as long as we've been self-aware. Cosplay itself, specifically what we're talking about, it's just the latest iteration of that expression of human sexuality. But again, it boils down to the subjective nature of what art is. And I feel that right now people feel this need that they have to, it's like they're keeping up with the Joneses. They have to keep topping themselves. And even that's not new. You know, the whole modifying one's body, that's not new. That dates, if I can remember correctly, that dates back to 3300 BCE. In 1991, it was a body was discovered where the remains of this preserved body of an ancient human. They discovered it. There was body modification. You see it in cultures all over the world, dating back hundreds of years, where the the gauge earrings and stuff like that, or the hoops around the lips or the mouths. You see that in our culture now that was inspired by that. Tattooed art, all those things. But body modification is not new. What is new is the options that we have. And even then, those options, some of those options were available. Like again, the hoop earrings and stuff like that. Tribes in Africa where they extend the neck. Those were body modifications, but they took time. Now we have those options, but they're more immediate. And there's always this pressure that people feel to be better. It's that human ambition to be more. Not to say that everybody's not satisfied. It's just we constantly strive to be better, to achieve more. And along the way, it seems that some people may have gotten that a little bit mixed up or twisted, perhaps, in this terms of like this competition, this pressure to compete with each other in terms of how our society is right now. Again, my opinion is I don't care, because there's nothing wrong with competition. There's nothing wrong with doing what you want with your body. I agree with you, Kirsten, what you said. It's your body, your choice. But as I said, it's a double-edged sword, because how you express yourself when you're putting yourself in the public eye, you open yourself up to criticism, good and bad. You have people who are your detractors. You have people who admire you. You have people who take it way too far, and then you have like the stalkers and stuff like that. And then you have the other people who look at you and then they look at themselves and they say, why am I not like that? And then you have the negative body images. And that's a lot of the focus that we have in our society now, especially with young girls. But what I feel is really important, especially now, is to remember that that doesn't just extend to women, but it's also starting to impact guys too. Because for myself, like, it's, don't get me wrong, it's definitely more effective of women, like, because you see it all the time, just images projected of women photoshopped, like these unbelievably perfect bodies, which are completely photoshopped, unrealistically proportioned. There's absolutely no way a woman could possibly achieve some of these portrayals of them. They're almost like comic book proportions, unrealistic expectations that young girls can achieve. But it goes the opposite, the on the opposite end of the spectrum too with men. Like for me, for myself, all right, I'm trying to get fit myself. All right, like I started out my journey at 311 pounds. I'm not that way anymore, as you can see. Like, I'm not freaking huge, but I'm not Chris Hemsworth. And I look at him and I'm like, Jesus Christ, why don't I look like that? And there's times where it brings me down, because I look at him and I'm like, there's no way I can realistically achieve that. Not to say that I can never, but realistically, I know in my head that an actor of his caliber, he has the time and the money to achieve that. His whole career is his image, so he can put the time and effort to do that. He has the money, the resources to put in all the nutrition. He has the money to go to the greatest gyms with the greatest equipment, hire the trainers. It's the same for the actresses in Hollywood. Same thing. Their whole career is their image as well as the acting, but they have to keep up this image. And men and women, especially young women and young men, they fall into this trap of thinking that I have to look like that, and that negatively impacts how they view themselves. Now, bring it back to what we're talking about. Does this mean that what cosplayers are doing now, is it a bad thing? No, I don't think so, because that is their choice, and how others view what they're doing is their choice too. Me having a problem with my own self-body image, that's on me. Right now, it's an organic problem, because there's all sorts of things happening all at once. Like, our whole world now is, as some people may have heard, it's a global village now. We can find out what's going on the other side of the planet like that. 40, 50 years ago would have been a lot harder. Now we know what's going on. So, in terms of my overall opinion, people can do what they want with their bodies. But when they do, when you put your image out there, just like I'm doing right now with this video, when you project yourself and put yourself out there, you put yourself out there and you open yourself up to criticism, good and bad, and you have to accept that. no matter what. And only time will tell how our society judges us when we look back. Hindsight is always 2020. Hopefully, when we look back at ourselves and the choices that we've made, we can look back and say we made the right decisions, or if we haven't, we can look back and say, hey, we made a mistake and we can do better. So, who knows?